Okay, nice to meet you. So I'm Giovanni. I also come from an academic background. I have a PhD and postdoc. But now I'm working at a pharmaceutical company, GSK. And yeah, I think it's good to see both of the worlds. So I think academia can learn from industry and vice versa, also on data management. So to give you a bit of a background, this is a diagram of the drug development pipeline. So the first step is that you identify the target. So if you want to develop a drug for a specific disease, like for cancer, asthma, if you first need to identify which gene you want to target, which protein. And then you go forward to identify a compound, preclinical and clinical stage. So I'm in a department called Target Science. We mostly deal with the first part, so target identification. Identify that we develop drugs toward the correct target. Because of course, if you get all the way to the clinical phase and you discover that you were targeting the wrong gene, then that's a lot of waste of time for the patient as well. So imagine about 160 people in my department working on several lines for oncology, respiratory, or for target identification. And so this is usually a work that involves a lot of data integration. So getting data from external sources, so from databases, from publications, but also from commercial data. And putting this data together and try to get to an answer. Is this gene a good target for this disease? By the way, if you want to know more about this, you may look at Open Target, which is an initiative in which GSK is involved. And so the company believes that this is a pre-competitive space. So some of the target identification is done in an open source way. Yeah, so within this target science department, I'm in a small group of 3 people, and basically we are in charge of data integration for target identification. You may see us maybe as data champions. And so we have a strategy which is in 3 points, which is what I want to present today. So the first is about communication and dataset expertise. So we proactively go and interview the people in the department and ask them, which data are you using? Are there any bottleneck accessing the data? Do you know that this other scientist in another line is using the same data? Could you work on the same? And then the second point is about data ingestion, data integrity. So this is what classic data management is. So helping people getting data set from public databases, for example, maintaining, do all the data curations, the ETL process, and maintaining updates. And then the last part is about technology support. So it's not enough to just put the data in a flat file somewhere. It's useful to have some support to understanding how to use it. So a dataset can be put into a database, for example. For different type of databases, you can have NoSQL, document databases. And this is what we do. We try to help this other scientists understand how to better serve this data and also maintain some databases. And yeah, so this is just a bit more detail on what I just said. So we have actually a measurable objectives. So we have to do 10, 20 face-to-face interviews with the scientists. This must lead to a number of data set problems to be solved. I think compared to the academia, it is more structured, and it helps to have a measurable objectives. and also about getting data from outside source. It's a long process. Some people do not appreciate it, that there are a lot of steps. You can just download the dataset, but then what happens when somebody wants to reproduce your results? What happens if you want to create new data from the same dataset? So this is a long process, and we actually work to help people understand that, how to do it and the importance of it. And this again is about supporting multiple technologies, because it's if you serve your data right, and then you can get much more of it from it. And that's it. It's just want to thank my manager Peter and my colleague Subhash, and then thank you all of you.
We have about 4 minutes for questions. So questions from the floor, please.
Yeah.
So is it like the researchers meet with the data managers?
Mm-hmm.
I can call it that way, or is it how those meetings happen? Can you tell us about that?
So especially now at the beginning, where we started last year, we try to be very proactive. So go to the researcher and ask them, which data do you have? I think this is useful because people usually do not have time to think about data. And so I think there is a value added in reaching out to the people. And of course, now that people know us after 1 year and a bit more, they also reach out to us and they just ask. Yeah.
What kinds of data are you dealing with? Is it internal data?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of data do you get from outside as well?
So we have a mixture of data from public databases like I know GTEx or Protein. There is a lot of good data actually in the public domain. And then we have some internal data sets that are produced by other units or a previous project. And we also have some commercial data sets which are they are usually better quality.
Any further?
Yeah, what terms do you usually have when you do you get data from researchers or public? Because I mean, this for researchers often then they approach private organizations. That's usually kind of agreements involved, which probably you should pay for the data.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have similar when you go to researchers, or it's just delivered to you? I mean, what terms do you work with usually?
Well, usually the data that we use is in the public domain. So we look at the license, and usually you can use it also for private processes. Acquiring commercial data sometimes we also prefer to use public data set because acquiring commercial data is a whole process. So you need to do the due diligence to see that the company that is selling you the data is not doing anything nasty. So we tend to use a lot of public sources. Yeah, that's.
I guess it would be in your interest to have better academic data.
Yeah.
Do you have programs where you actually support researchers so that it fits your expectations?
Yeah.
You get my point.
Yeah, I think, for example, Open Targets is a good example because Open Targets is a consortium to which GSK participate. It was one of the founding members, but there are other companies. And this finances project to curate data and put it together so that you have a single portal where you can ask which are good targets for a specific disease, or you search for a gene and you get data from usually public databases. And I think this has produced many successful collaboration with academia.
researchers in a university would apply to GSK for funding to produce data that would go to the public domain, or am I talking crazy things?
I think that might want to take offline because we're out of time.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.